Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rettel, welcome. As you know, the United States is in a global race against China and other countries to be the global leader in deploying next-generation 5G mobile broadband network, which has the potential to boost our annual GDP by up to $500 billion and to create 3 million new jobs. That's why it was concerning this past January when a memo leaked from the National Security Council which called for nationalizing 5G mobile broadband networks. Since the memo leaked 5 months ago, the administration has declined to explicitly foreclose nationalizing 5G. In fact, just last week, President Trump's campaign manager tweeted about the need for a single 5G network, a tweet that I found concerning. Mr. Rettel, in your current position, you're principally responsible for advising the President on telecommunications and information policy. In your judgment, should the United States be nationalizing any aspects of our 5G networks?
Senator, I appreciate the question. I have spent my entire career working to promote competitive and innovative wireless networks and wireless services. And at NTIA, we are focused on that goal, making sure that we have enough spectrum for all of our wireless providers to provide 5G. And while I am not the ultimate decision maker inside the executive branch, as the administrator of NTIA, that's the way we're moving forward.
So if I understand you correctly, you believe it would be a bad idea to nationalize 5G. Is that correct?
My advice to the President would be that we should not move forward and nationalize 5G. All right, let's shift to a different topic. FCC Commissioner Michael O'Reilly stated in a 2015 blog post that, quote, by some accounts, the federal government currently occupies, either exclusively or on a primary basis, between 60 and 70% of all spectrum in the commercially most valuable range between 225 megahertz and 3.7 gigahertz, which comes to approximately 2,417 megahertz. As you're well aware, NTIA is primarily responsible for managing the federal government's use of spectrum and will play a central role in helping vacate federal users who are underutilizing or inefficiently using spectrum. In your judgment, what steps can Congress take to incentivize federal users, especially the Department of Defense, to make more spectrum available for commercial use? Well, Senator, I think we've seen play out with the changes that have been made to the Spectrum Relocation Fund over the years that the less friction we have in the process for our agencies to find ways to be more efficient, the more likely they are to want to be more efficient. The spectrum that we have been able to identify through the spectrum pipeline proposals, 1300 to 1350, 1675 to 1680, and 3450 to 3550, are all because we were able to work through the Spectrum Relocation Fund with our federal colleagues to produce enough funding for the R&D and for the background work to identify these bands as potential candidates for reallocation. So the more we can do to support making sure we have the resources to identify these bands, I think the better it would be for us to get them incentivized.
If Congress allowed federal agencies to keep a percentage of the proceeds from an FCC incentive auction, do you believe that would incentivize federal users to make more spectrum available for commercial use?
The honest answer, Senator, is I don't know. Not all federal users are similarly situated. And as we look at these bands, that may be an incentive for some federal users. For others, because it's mission-essential spectrum or mission-essential equipment, it might not be an incentive. But I certainly wouldn't, dissuade Congress from taking a look at every possible tool to make incentives available for federal users.
Okay, final topic. As you know, an issue that I've raised significant concern about for some time was the Obama administration's decision to end the United States protection of core functions of the Internet. On June 5th of this year, just 8 days before today's hearing, NTIA published a notice of inquiry in the Federal Register seeking, quote, comments and recommendations from all interested and stakeholders on its international Internet policy priorities for 2018 and beyond. One of the issues that NTIA is seeking comment and recommendations on is the INA transition. For the record, it's my view that the INA transition was grossly irresponsible, that it has presented a real threat to First Amendment rights and freedom online, and it's reduced the United States' ability to protect core functions of the Internet. What steps have you personally taken over the past 7 months to review the IANA transition? And what additional steps do you intend to take after the comment period has closed on July 2nd?
Well, Senator, over the last couple of months, I have spent a lot of time doing outreach to a number of folks who were engaged in the IANA transition process, the debate on Capitol Hill, the debate within the multi-stakeholder community, to discuss whether or not there were steps that we could take to address your concerns. And what we ultimately decided was the best way for us to get information on this was to put this out as part of the NOI. We asked it directly. We asked people directly, please let us know what your opinions on this, and please let us know if your answer is yes, we should unwind this, how to do so, and if not, why we shouldn't. We're big believers at NTIA in process, and as I went through the process of having private discussions with folks, we came to the determination that having a more public comment period would give this issue the airing it deserves.
Thank you.